My wife and I were having an argument, and then she casually blurted out, "I don't know how many men I've slept with. I know she said it to hurt me. I'm just processing this and trying to figure out how I should feel." How would you feel? Additional context. We are having an argument about trust. When I first met her, I moved into an apartment complex and joined her friend group. About a year later, we moved away. I proposed to her, and then she said, "Oh well, I can't bring Mike to the wedding because he and I had sex." I lived near Mark. Mark was part of the friend group. I saw him every day, and she never told me this. Another issue is that she met someone I went to college with, completely separate from me. I wasn't even around. Then he left town and came back later. He contacted her and said, "Hey, let's get together." She invited all of us to meet him, and she never told me that she slept with him. I was saying that I don't think she was truthful about any of that stuff. I'm sure there are other people I ran into that she had slept with and never told me about. I heard one woman say, "Never let your man be in a room with another man that you've had sex with and not let him know." She did that to me a lot, and I find that very disrespectful. So I said, "I know there's more," because she's always been very private about her past. Then she blurted out, "I don't know how many men I've slept with." Story 1. I know she said it to hurt me. What was said isn't nearly as relevant as that detail. Also, why is this news to you? You married her. Story 2. I would be more concerned that she used something like that to hurt you, rather than worrying about how many there could be. Story 3. I cannot say I know myself for certain. I could probably go back and count in my head, but it would not be worth it. My wife and I have never discussed our body counts, but I know it is probably medium for both of us. Who cares? She is mine now. Story 4. I do not know how many women I have slept with. My wife knows this and calls me a derogatory name. The important thing is that I have only slept with her since we have been together. Both need to mature. Her for the childish way she has used that to hurt you, and you for allowing it. Story 5. There is a lot missing here. Context and reason for the argument are required to provide an educated answer. Story 6. I am gay. I would not get to that point in a relationship before knowing that our preferences and values were compatible. I have only ever slept with men I loved, which, after 40 years of being openly gay, is 2. The first one died of cancer. I cannot separate love and sex. I would make sure our preferences were compatible at the very beginning. Story 7. I would rather worry that she is ready to say things she knows will hurt you during an unrelated argument. Story 8. I think if you believe she said it to hurt you, then that is a red flag, and you should definitely have a conversation about respect and boundaries in your relationship. I am a woman, and I know how many people I have slept with, but my partner does not. The only time it came up was in the very beginning, when I asked about his past. After discussing why he did not remember, I felt much better. Context is key here. If your partner is using something against you to hurt you, that is not good. If she was just sharing her past as it fit into the conversation, then you should try to encourage more open communication. Story 9. It's okay to care about someone's past, especially their sexual history. It's also okay not to care about it. Don't let anyone tell you it should be one or the other. The fact remains that past sexual history is a significant factor for most men, and it is a shame that many are willing to ignore the voice inside that says it matters. The way she treated you, from trying to throw the information in your face to entertaining past hookups, is street behavior. She does not respect you, and at this point, your options are to be a doormat or to leave her. Story 10. These kinds of questions need to be asked before signing the papers. If that information was important to you, it should have been addressed before getting married. What will change now if she tells you? Whether it is 1, 10, or over 100, what will you do with that information? Sometimes, when it is too late, it is better not to know certain things. Also, if she does not want to tell you, it probably means you will not like the answer, and she likely knows your personality and how you will react. Story 11. I think someone should know within a pretty narrow margin. I have slept with exactly one person because my wife and I were both virgins when we got married. Story 12. Do you love the person she is right now, today, in this moment? If the answer is yes, then consider that every experience she has had in life up to this point has been part of forming her into the woman you love. I never asked my wife because it is irrelevant. I adore the human being she is today. She is the most amazing person I have ever met. I am lucky to be with her. I hope you will be able to look at yours and feel the same way. Story 13. I think you have misinterpreted the situation and became upset when something you did not like came up. Personally, as long as my wife is not reconnecting intimately with any of her previous partners, it is not an issue. Intimacy is a private moment between two people, and frankly, I do not want to know the details. If, as you said, your wife is more private than most and you were aware of that, yet you insisted on addressing a topic that is often a source of shame for women, I can understand why she reacted the way she did. The bigger issue seems to be that one or both of you are willing to hurt each other in arguments instead of seeking to resolve the problem, or you believe that was the intention regardless. Honestly, I would be more concerned about that than about her past relationships. In summary, you both could benefit from counseling or, at the very least, spending some time reconnecting with each other. Story 14. I'm a woman, and that's wrong. If she's splitting hairs over, I didn't lie, you need to consider what else she might be keeping hidden. I hate when people act like there isn't something profoundly wrong with not being upfront about things. Being in regular contact with someone you've slept with is significant. I can say that because I'm still good friends with my first boyfriend. I've never hidden it and have always been very open about it with anyone I date. If they weren't comfortable with me seeing him, then I didn't. We haven't slept together since we broke up at 20, and there is zero interest in doing so. He is just as much a friend as my female best friend. I would never introduce him to a man I was seeing without them knowing the terms of our past and present. Story 15. How would you feel if your wife told you she did not know how many men she has slept with? First, believe her, meaning it is a lot. Second, it depends if body count matters to you. Personally, I do not engage with promiscuous women. I do not feel it is right. It leads to situations where you have just met random men she has slept with. Certainly not a good feeling. So why are you in this situation now? Did you ignore red flags? Story 16. If it is before you see her, who cares? If it is during your entire time together, then it is time to seek counseling. Story 17. My partner does not know how many girls he has slept with either. I do not let it worry me. He partied a lot when he was younger and was drunk most of the time. Those people do not matter now. He never cared about them. Story 18. People forget unusual things, especially if they are connected to trauma or extend over a long period. I forgot the name of the person I lost my virginity to after less than a year because it was a terrible one-night stand I wish I could forget. That phrase itself tells you nothing about a person. However, if you ever get the feeling a loved one is saying something just to intentionally make you feel sad or insecure during an argument, that is a huge red flag. Story 19. I dislike when women use their influence as a weapon. No one admires a woman for having many sexual partners. It requires no effort. What a weak and sad thing to say to hurt you. Now you might be thinking about how promiscuous she is or was. Nice work, lady. Story 20. Depends on the conversation. I had this conversation with my partner, and she said the same thing. I told her that is my answer as well, as I do not know the exact amount, just a ballpark range. Story 21. Before or after we married? Before? I don't care. It's not like I was a virgin either. After? Get out. I'll have my lawyer send papers. Story 22. I don't know how many men she has slept with, as I have never asked. The fact that she doesn't know is concerning. Additionally, the fact that she said it to hurt you is another red flag. Story 23. I would not care. There is nothing to do with our relationship. I have been with her for 17 years, so it is ancient history. I never asked her about her past relationships when we were first dating because it did not matter. Story 24. She has a number and knows it, probably not proud of it, and likely a lot given her secrecy. Story 25. No man wants to know his wife was used by the football team to unwind after each game, but I think you mean dating and or drunken one-night flings. For you, the question is how many men did she do that with who are your friends, coworkers, and guys you see around town a lot? all giving you that knowing smile and a have a nice day wink. Time to move to another state with or without her. Story 26. Yes, my first major relationship ended with the response, "You don't really want to know." Mad and hurt at first, it made me mature and understand that it's more important to focus on the present moment. That doesn't mean the issue is dead. Past performance can easily indicate the future. Just something to consider. In my case, 6 weeks into our marriage, after being an inseparable couple for 4 years and just starting new careers, she hung out a few nights with her new coworkers, which led to her sleeping with another man and our quick separation. Decades later, it still gives me mixed emotions. Probably has affected her life all this time as well. Seriously, grow up. That conversation is an unnecessary minefield, but if you get that answer, it could mean your partner, though well-meaning today, will be absent when you least expect it. Disagree if you want, but it happens more often than not. Story 27. Look man, she obviously said that because she knows she could get to you by saying it. She knows this is a sensitive issue for you. If I had to guess, she said it because she is tired of having this argument and hopes this will stop you from bringing it up. Why women think this, I have no idea, when all it does is escalate the issue. A quick note. Do not ask and do not tell about sexual history. Your wife should not have brought this up unless she was trying to start a fight. What matters now is that you are married and have agreed to be with each other. Unless there is a health issue, leave it in the past. Bottom line, you have to trust your wife, or the relationship will not be good. Women also have to trust their husbands. Trust has to be mutual or it will not work. If you want the relationship to last, focus on being the best husband and partner you can be. Find ways to celebrate and honor your relationship with your wife. That is why you married her in the first place, right? If she is doing something you object to, which I strongly suspect, tell her you do not feel comfortable and ask her to stop. Then do not mention it again. If you catch her cheating, that is when to start talking about trust and bring in the lawyers. Good luck. Story 28. You seem to have married a dishonest person, my friend. There is no other way to say it. Being with two untrustworthy individuals in the same room, just for laughs, is concerning. You may be losing count. Please get tested and take care of yourself. Story 29. I need some context on how she chose to blurt that out. I cannot think of many instances where I would be happy to hear it. I generally do not like hearing about past sexual experiences from someone I am dating, due to past experiences where those experiences were not truly in the past. Story 30. You are fighting over the wrong things, and it sounds to me like you are insecure and bullying her. She sounds frustrated if she blurted this out as a last resort to end your line of questioning. I wish her well. The problem is you. I am a married man for what it is worth. Story 31. I know she said it to hurt me, is doing a lot of work here. Just because you got hurt over it doesn't mean she said it to hurt you. If she doesn't know, she doesn't know. Or she doesn't want to take the time to recount each person and just said she doesn't know. I don't know, I always think body count is a fool's errand. Why be mad that someone had a life before they met you? As long as she wasn't cheating on you, then what does it matter? Story 32. Sorry, but she has probably had sex with a few guys in the friend group. There is always that girl. Story 33. Why would it matter? My significant other and I have been together for over 25 years, and I have no idea how many people she had relationships with before we started ours. Why would I care? Story 34. I was no saint in my 20s and early 30s. I know it is around 50 but definitely less than 75. I honestly do not know the exact number of partners I have had. Why would I care if she did not either? Story 35. I do not know how many women I have slept with. It is not something I have counted. What matters is that she tried to hurt you and was successful in doing so. I would want a sincere apology, not groveling, just knowing she means it. Story 36. It is her business how many men she has slept with. If it is 200, you may have a problem because she likes sex with many men. But she also may have sowed her oats. And your wife is great in bed, and you have a wonderful sex life. She should have told you about those other men, but she did not have to, and may have felt it would hurt you. Part of it is about your bruised ego. My partner told me about parties she had long before we met. I was upset at the time, but now I think it is sort of attractive. Just talk it through and establish trust. Ultimately, she is with you now and everything else is in the past. Story 37. I would not care. If I had those feelings, I would have figured that out long before I married her. Why would my feelings about it change now? I could not care less if we are in the room with someone she has been with. Aside from that, I am interested in who he is or what he looks like, but I genuinely do not care if she tells me or not. Story 38. Mature relationships do not require a rundown of either person's past relationships. It was before you and it is not your business. Story 39. That is something you do not want to know. That is also something you do not want to share with her. Why would you ask that? How is it relevant? Terrible question to ever ask. Story 40. Why does it matter? I don't count how many men I have slept with because my mother drilled into me at a young age that it is nobody's business and I should never disclose my body count. From what I have seen from others, it always just causes problems anyway. So why bother counting in the first place? Story 41. If this kind of thing is important to you, you should really sort it out before getting married. I have definitely been in a room with men my wife has slept with. I had no problem inviting women I have slept with to our wedding, if they were my friends. But if we had felt differently, you can be sure we would have talked about it beforehand. Story 42. Was the argument about something important, or were you being immature and demanding a number of casualties? Because it is a very strange thing to say if it was not related to the argument. Story 43. I know you think you know. She said it to hurt you, but are you sure? Maybe it was said because it hurts her that you do not know or that you seem not to care to know. It is entirely possible that this statement was a cathartic release. To answer the question, I feel it is important to understand and appreciate her fully, to understand what she felt in the moment that caused her to make the statement. This might not be about you at all. Story 44. It is a lie. If she said it to hurt you, the number probably is not that scary. She is just angry, hurt, and lashing out. That said, you need to have a discussion with her about that very specific tactic, which is wholly unacceptable in a relationship. Story 45. I'm a woman, but before being married, if you don't already have a clue about her situation, probably you married someone you don't know. Let's level set. If it's okay, fine. If not, move on to your next step. Story 46. Not knowing the number aside, having a partner who would casually say something like that just to hurt you is alarming and a huge red flag. Story 47. I would not care because I do not know exactly how many women I have slept with. I know she said it to hurt me. My wife intentionally trying to hurt me, however, would bother me a great deal. Story 48. It sounds like you are processing a lot of hurt and betrayal, and I am not surprised you are feeling blindsided and disrespected. Story 49. I guess I am different than most. I say, tell me about it. You turn me on. I love her details, have her stroke me while telling me. I would find out her history and have great sex. Remember, it's only sex. There is a lot more to a relationship. Sex can be lots of fun. Now, lying and being dishonest to me would hurt. But having sex with another person as long as not cheating, well, that's okay, maybe even used as a turn on. Lying and cheating to hurt you is no good. Story 50. It would bother me. That is a question I have never asked my partners because I simply do not want to know and am not sure if I could handle it. You have been thrown that curveball without consent. That is unfortunate. Story 51. I don't know, but as long as it is nobody except you after we got together, that should be some comfort. Story 52. You married her and you love her. Why does it matter how many men she has slept with, as long as it was before you? It doesn't matter. She should have let you know if she slept with a particular man. She should have told you, but it doesn't really matter. My wife's body count is 58. It doesn't matter to me. You should sit down with her and talk about giving you a heads up on anyone she has slept with. Story 53. 1. If you did not care to learn prior to marrying this person, I would say, what does it matter now? 2. If it is a conversation they started and said that to me, I would say, oh, thank goodness, because I have zero clue either and was not trying to lie, so that squares out. Story 54. I understand why this would make you uncomfortable, but there is a very small window of time at the beginning of your life when you will care about that. My wife lived in the same city, worked in the same industry, and had the same circle of friends for years before I met her. Did she sleep with some of the men she still has contact with? Undoubtedly. Do I need a complete list? No. At the beginning of our relationship, I was suspicious of how my wife talked about or looked at a couple of men, and I made her aware that I was uncomfortable with it. I set some boundaries, and I have not seen anything concerning since. But you cannot set boundaries with a woman's entire sexual history. Ultimately, if you are the one responsible for keeping your wife faithful, you are in trouble anyway. Also, not knowing the number does not matter. You would have done the same thing if you could. It does not mean you are not capable of being faithful to your wife. Story 55. I have no idea how many people I have slept with and have never asked my wife how many people she has slept with. I just don't care, and neither does she. She has never asked, and neither have I, because it is completely in our past and does not matter. You are probably young and think it matters now, but it really doesn't. I hang out with people I have slept with in the past while with her, and I'm sure she has hung out with people she has slept with in the past. Neither of us have feelings for any of them, but we still have mutual friends, so it's just a part of life. Story 56. I have no idea how many people anyone I have been in a relationship with has slept with because it is a meaningless metric to judge anything by. I have never wanted to ask, and nobody has ever asked me. Story 57. I would wonder why it mattered, and I would also wonder why it is considered strange and who decided it would be strange to speak to other men your current partner had previously been intimate with. Really, who cares? Story 58. I would be more concerned with how many people she may currently be involved with. The past is the past. If she is faithful to you, what is the issue? Story 59. I do not know how many women I have been with, but I know who I am with now, and is not that more important? Story 60. I know how many people my wife has been with, and she knows about me as well. Neither of us really cares, but both of us would be upset if someone we had been intimate with previously was still hanging around. I would be angry if I found out my wife was friends with someone she had slept with, introduced me to them, or had them hang out with me without saying anything beforehand. To me, that comes across as disrespectful. Now, if she mentioned it and we agreed it was okay to see the person, that would be fine. However, I would still be upset if I were in that situation. Story 61. It depends because I do not know how many women I have slept with and find it strange that people keep a tally in their minds. It is not even a large number. I simply do not keep track. Story 62. Personally, it would not matter to me how many people my partner had slept with. Not being honest about it when asked would bother me a bit, but I really would not ask. It is their business. The issues you have are not really related to whether she has slept with many people or not. They are about trust and respect for each other, which it does not seem like she has a lot of. Story 63. Things matter differently to people. I had a girlfriend who broke up with me after she found out my phone number at the time. My wife of 11 years makes fun of me because I don't remember my phone number now. Story 64. As long as she was sleeping with me, I would not care. I was married for about 10 years, and it did not work out, but that was not because of cheating or anything. Part of the problem was she decided she was not interested in sex at all. I have no idea how many people she slept with before we married, but what bothered me was she was not sleeping with me anymore. Story 65. You sound extremely immature. She is right that you cannot handle knowing who she has and has not slept with. I wonder how long before she realizes she can do better. Story 66. I kind of disagree with most of these. What she did prior to meeting her husband should not affect him. If I had slept with someone in my friend group 5 years before one time and moved on with my life, it would feel completely irrelevant for me to mention it unless there was weird energy with that person or something was still going on. I would actually feel weird if they felt it was important enough to mention. That would make me feel like it still matters to them in some way. If they had actually dated someone in the friend group, I think it would be weird not to mention it because previous emotional attachments shape us, and hopefully we learn something from each previous relationship. These are things I would want to know about my partners. Story 67. I could not tell you how many women I have slept with. Maybe a rough estimate, but I would probably be wrong. Anyone who keeps an actual count of their partners is unusual. Story 68. Terrible advice from a single person. Divorce her immediately. If a woman likes to casually sleep and fool around even before you two got together, chances are she will not be faithful to her marriage vows and will do it again. Women like these will never know true intimacy or love and will just keep chasing that high and exhilaration. Not wife material. Divorce immediately. Story 69. I think it would depend on the estimate. If it is around 4 to 10, whatever. If it is 60 or more, I do not know. Story 70. Considering we have been married 28 years and she told me before we were married, I would be rather upset. Your post shows deep issues. I will not say do not marry her, but. Story 71. I would not care about her past relationships, but I would want to know if she had been with anyone we are both friends with. It matters to me if those people are still in our lives. This is not to say I am not okay with it. I would not act on this information, but I would want to hear it from her in good faith rather than from anyone else. If she said anything with the intent to hurt me, then that would require an open discussion from both sides on how to avoid hurting each other in the future. It would take some effort for me to get over her trying to hurt me. It might end the relationship, but I would not let it happen as a knee-jerk reaction. To be honest, I might end up spiraling or replaying past events in my head to see if I had been intentionally disrespected before. But that is something therapy can help with. Story 72. If the truth was omitted this many times, there you have it. If you are okay with half-truths and an untrustworthy spouse, go for it. For me, personally, this would be grounds for divorce. This was purposely kept from you. Let us not forget. Story 73. I think the most important part is how many men she slept with after marrying you. Any answer other than one would be an issue for me. Story 74. I heard one woman say, never let your partner be in a room with another person you have been intimate with without letting him know. She did that to me a lot, and I find that very disrespectful. Who is this woman, and why do her words matter so much to you? This seems to be the entire basis for why any of this is an issue. Story 75. When she says she does not know how many, she is telling you there were too many to count. She has completely humiliated you and now throws it in your face. I do not think you can ever trust her again. It is better to walk out with your head held high than to stay with your head held low. Story 76. Let me tell you something quickly. My ex told me she loves me, and 5 days after I broke up with her because she lied to me and deleted chats with other men, she started dating another guy. She said she did not even think of me when she was with him. Story 77. How would you feel? I wouldn't like it if she said it to hurt me, but then again, that wouldn't hurt me. I wouldn't care. What she did before she met me was her affair. Story 78. I don't know how many women I have slept with. It is more than 100. I have never really counted. I used to smoke and drink a lot. I have forgotten more than I remember. The point is not what your wife said, but why she said it. If you still do not trust each other and want to say things with negative intent, then what is the point? Story 79. The original poster is not talking about sleeping before marriage. He is concerned with his wife's passive aggression and possibly a strange preference for him interacting with some of her former sleeping partners. Additionally, she makes things worse by saying she has probably been promiscuous. Story 80. Honestly, lots of people are like that. I have no idea how many women I have slept with. You just lose track. Story 81. She has never been yours, and she probably still is not. She likely settled with you because you were unaware, and the other men knew she was unfaithful and would not commit to marriage. Story 82. I would need more context on the argument. You did provide some details, but it all seems chaotic. What was the argument about? Seriously, who cares who slept with whom? Aren't we supposed to be adults now? Story 83. I'm in my 30s and have been with around 15 people. I counted in my mid-20s when it was about 9 people. Since then, I have been in and out of medium-term relationships with occasional flings in between. I think it is normal for people with a body count over 10 to lose track, unless they make it a point of pride to keep count. For example, a coworker said she has been with over 80 men. Story 84. I do not know what the argument was that led to her blurting out, How did the subject come up in the first place? Who was pressing whose buttons? Story 85. We have been happily married for 30 years and have never strayed since the wedding. However, both of us slept with many people in our youth, and neither of us would have a clue about the numbers or have any regrets about sowing wild oats. Arguably, if you are a non-promiscuous type, you should find someone of the same kind. Story 86. Big deal. It is in her past. Are you insecure or jealous? Be happy. She has experience. I could not tell you how many people I have connected with either. Story 87. Honestly, bro, that's better than a number. I like my women how I like my coffee. Without someone else's involvement. That's all that matters now. Story 88. You post this question every couple of months, and the age of you and your spouse always changes. Take a break and stop posting for attention. Story 89. Short answer. You were not her first, but do your best to be her last. Everyone has a history, and past relationships do not really matter if you are happy. Take a moment and remember that most cells in the human body are replaced every 7 to 8 years. She is literally not the same person she was back then. Story 90. Why would that hurt you? Do you have a preconceived notion about how many partners your current significant other should have had? I think the more important question you should be asking is why her response bothers you. If she is not being truthful, perhaps you are not giving her a safe enough space to be honest. Sounds like you are the one with trust issues. I would not want to tell you either. Story 91. I disagree with every stance in this post. I do not care about body count. I do not care if their exes are around, even if they are really good friends with them. I also do not care if my partner has no friends. Honestly, for me, enforcing such a rule would be hypocritical. I have been friends with some of my exes for over 20 years. I have a high body count to the point that I have no idea what it is. Story 92. As long as she is faithful to you now, what does it matter how many men she has slept with in the past? Story 93. How old are you? How old is she? What country are you from? Are you religious? Have you traveled much? Why does it bother you? I have many questions. I am in my 40s and single. I don't care how many people my potential new partner has had. Life is life. As long as it is only me when they are with me, who cares? Story 94. I don't know how many men I have slept with either. And men and women combined? That has got to be at least 80 people. I lost count a long time ago. We both used to be very promiscuous. It doesn't bother us. Also, why not invite Mark? You are intimate with your friend, and suddenly they are uninvited from your wedding? That is rude. To be honest, I don't know where either of you are coming from on this. Story 95. Going out on a limb here because my personal opinion might collide with conventional wisdom, whatever that is worth in a personal question such as this. It would make me feel disgusted. Why? Because I would wonder why I marry a woman who had slept with half the town, and now she used it to hurt me. Is that politically incorrect? But you did ask this very question, right? Original poster? Story 96. My ex was the best woman at my wedding. There is no sexual tension or romantic feelings. We just were not meant to be together and became best friends afterward. Unless she was cheating on you or specifically told you she did not sleep with someone when she really did, what does it matter if she had sex with 300 guys? Before you? All that means is 300 guys at some point found her attractive enough to have sex with, and you are the one who gets to go to bed and wake up with her every day. Feel proud, or do not feel anything at all about it. If it does make you feel upset, then that is something you two should talk about when you are calm. Story 97. If it has not mattered up until now, it should continue to not matter. It is very wrong of her to try and hurt you like that. Do not fall for the body count nonsense. It is completely unimportant. Story 98. My wife's roommate had a spiral notebook, and it was 2 pages before she graduated. She did not use every line, but still impressive. Mine could fit on the top half of a post-it note. Story 99. If she is trying to do it to hurt him, then this is what makes me concerned. It is the use of it as an attack. He probably knows when his wife is trying to attack him. Story 100. I think many comments here miss the point. The number of people she has slept with is not as important as her allowing you to spend time with guys for years without knowing she had a sexual relationship with them. Story 101. I have no idea how many men she has been with or how many women I have been with. We married each other about 15 years ago. What happened before that is just our past. Story 102. She did not say this unprompted. I think you are leaving out that you have criticized her for having been with other men besides you over the course of her life before, which is kind of an unkind move. Story 103. Why is it your business what she did before you? So she likes sex, big deal. Is she unfaithful while committed to you? Story 104. Why would I care who she slept with before? That's kind of weird. The only thing I care about regarding her past sexual experiences is what she has learned about what she likes or dislikes. Otherwise, it is completely irrelevant. Story 105. I would feel like my wife did not know how many men she has slept with. Then I would go on about my day. Story 106. Why does it matter when it is in the past and before she got with you? Seriously, her past should not have anything to do with the present, such as sexual partners. You are letting something so inconsequential mess with your head and possibly ruin your relationship. Story 107. Everyone saying they would not care no matter how large the number was is either lying to themselves or to everyone else. Story 108. As long as she was tested for sexually transmitted diseases prior to sleeping with you and her results were negative, I do not think it matters. Story 109. Why would I be shallow and insecure enough to care how many people my partner has been with? Expecting everyone to have no past experience is unrealistic. Story 110. Why does it matter? If you love her, get over it. Stop worrying about it. She has probably had guys bigger than you too. It absolutely does not matter. Story 111. I've known my wife since 1997. We were best friends for 10 years before we got together. We've now been married 17 years this November. I have no idea how many men she has been with, and to be honest, I do not care about it. Whether it was 5 or 50 makes no difference to me. God willing, we will be each other's last sexual partners, and that is all that matters to me. Story 112. Wow, of all the men she has been with, she chose to keep you. I am not sure why you are not celebrating the fact that you are apparently an absolutely amazing partner. Story 113. Why do people get so hung up on how many people their spouse slept with in the past before their relationship? Is your spouse currently sleeping with someone other than you without your permission? If the answer is no, then what is the actual problem? Unless they contracted genital herpes or human immunodeficiency virus, your spouse's sex life from before your relationship began is none of your business. Story 114. Usually, I would say whatever she did before she met you is not really important. However, the fact that she used that to hurt you is a huge red flag. Story 115. Well, if we are being honest, I do not know how many women I have slept with, so fair is fair. We are both adults on our second marriage. The number of past partners does not matter to me. Story 116. It seems like something I would already know before getting married, to be honest. If she has lost count, then we probably have different values and are not compatible. Story 117. I feel like even asking this or being in a conversation where this would be brought up says more about yourself than her answer says about her. Story 118. I would be more upset that she said something to deliberately hurt my feelings. Definitely worth talking to her about that at the very least. Story 119. I know she only said this to hurt me. That is the real problem here, original poster. I have been married to my wife for over 10 years. I know all of her sore spots and I know exactly what to say to hurt her, but I never do it. Why? Because I love her, and even in anger I do not want to hurt her. We have fought hard over the last 10 years, but we have never tried to hurt the other person just to win an argument. You and her need therapy. Story 120. I don't know how many women I have slept with. Not because it is a large number or anything, but it has been approximately 26 years since I slept with anyone else, so it is all fuzzy now. If my wife felt the same way about how many men she had been with, I would understand. It is not important enough to remember after so many years of marriage. Story 121. I'd say, yeah, I lost track of how many people I've had sex with too. and move on with my day. Why would I care how many people my wife had sex with before we met? How many since we have been together is what matters. The obsession with body count is pretty stupid in my opinion. As long as she's had a varied and enjoyable enough sex life to be good at sex, it doesn't really matter. Story 122. Her reaction was not to acknowledge your feelings, and she purposefully hurt you. That does not sound like she respects you. I am sorry you are going through this, but you get what you accept, and you must decide whether you are okay with accepting this for the rest of your life. Story 123. Why does it matter? You married because you love her. Whatever she did and whoever she was with before you is not your business. The same applies to her. Story 124. Really would not care. We all have a past. However, if anything is said about any topic with the intent of hurting the other person, that is a different conversation. Story 125. I am calling nonsense. He is leaving out a lot. Your wife is allowed to have a past, especially if you were not in the picture at the time. My best guess is you are insecure and want to know how many lovers your wife has had to make yourself feel better about being one of the best she has been with. Grow up if this is the case. Story 126. I know my partner has slept with other people before me. I am not sure why it is relevant. The number does not change anything. I personally do not know how many women I have slept with before her. We sleep with each other now. The more concerning thing is that, according to you, she is using that as a means to cause you upset or distress. That is not how mature people who care about each other communicate and resolve their differences. Story 127. I am 35 years old. So, you did not investigate her past before marriage? Do you enjoy taking risks in your life? Story 128. It was 20 years ago. I do not care at all how many partners she has had. My wife is also friends with her ex-partners, as am I. We have all been in the same room together because we are adults. Why is it important for you to know how many partners she has been with? Story 129. She wouldn't be my wife if she didn't know her body count. She wouldn't be my wife if I didn't know about every single ex-boyfriend and the reasons they broke up. She wouldn't be my wife if I didn't know about her past experiences. Who you are is shaped by your past. Why would you not care about the past of someone you're married to if you cared about who she is in the present? Why do you love your wife? Have you both been tested for sexually transmitted diseases? As for her, why is she still bringing single men around whom she has slept with? Story 130. If the number is 0 since she met you and she is clean, the number before you does not matter. Stop judging women for living their lives. You fell in love with the person she was when you met her. You stayed in love because of the person she became when you committed. If anything, you changed her. If she stays loyal, she is a keeper. She has no more control of her past than you do. Finding a reason to shame a loyal partner is self-sabotage. You will hurt yourself and regret it. Story 131. Bro, the last 2 sentences you wrote show that punctuation plays a big role. You should not put a period right after blurted out. And you should put quotation marks around, I don't know how many men I slept with. It really changes the context of your story. Story 132. I think you married too early. You both sound a bit immature for this. Do some traveling, working, and growing. Find yourself a life partner, not a high school girlfriend. Good luck. Story 133. I would probably not care that much, but I would also be slightly glad that she clearly does not care enough about these past encounters to bother remembering how many there were, much less the details of what happened. You mention all those men, original poster, and you are the one she married. You must be doing something right. That being said, I think she should have told you about the man she slept with while you were there. That does seem disrespectful. Story 134. It is unusual to get married to someone without having this conversation beforehand. For me, I do not know how many people I have slept with, so it would not faze me. However, I would already be aware. Story 135. Before getting married, I don't even have to ask my partner about those examples. How would I not know my partner was transgender before getting married? Of course, I know if they were a criminal or in debt. Those are not questions you need to ask. They are just things you find out in the process of getting to know someone. I'm confused. Are you saying these are not all things you should know about your partner before getting married? I do agree with your last sentence, though. Story 136. It honestly would not bother me at all. I do not know how many women I have slept with. Why should she have to know how many men she has been with? It seems rather unimportant in the grand scheme of things. You could be spending your time thinking about things that actually matter. Story 137. I couldn't care less. I can't remember how many women I've been with. It's definitely over 100, maybe over 200. As long as she's not still procuring others outside of me, I sincerely hope she has some great stories to share about it. Story 138. When you marry, you draw a line in the sand. Everything that happened before this point is forgiven and forgotten, and we move forward into the future together. If you are still hung up on things they have done, then you really should not be getting married. We all have a past. Story 139. This happens every time this subject comes up. People not only have their own opinions on this, but also expect everyone else to share their outlook on a partner's sexual history. If your partner's past bothers you, it bothers you. If it is not something you care about, then that is fine. There is no one correct opinion on this. What is important is that you and your partner communicate and share a matching outlook. Story 140. Okay, lot to unpack. 1. Your question. If my wife said that to me in anger, I would be sad she thought it would hurt me. I am very secure in my manhood and our love. If she thinks that could hurt me, something is wrong, and I feel for her and want to help her through it, regardless of whether it was true or not. 2. This is not about how many people she slept with. It is about her trying to cause you emotional pain and shake your grounding in reality. It is not okay to make you paranoid. It is also about manipulation tactics at this stage in your relationship. It is weird, hurtful, and childish. Something is wrong. 3. So are sketchy friends pointing in and out like that. You have a communication and trust problem, and you cannot fix that without both people wanting to fix it. Do not ask for help online. Get yourself a counselor and work through your issues together. So worrying about body counts is immaterial. The girl you heard about once is wrong. Story 141. The issue is not that she slept with men before you or that you slept with women before her. We are all adults here. The specific problem is that she cannot recall how many. If she is loyal to you, I guess it does not really matter, but it is not very appealing if we are being honest. No one is asking for a virgin, but at least showing a little constraint would be nice. Story 142. The woman who gave you that advice was spot on. However, it appears your wife never knew or understood this. Each time these get-togethers happen, they are in a position of power because of your ignorance of the situation. To her, those subtle looks or smiles between them and her, knowing you don't know, make her feel powerful. Telling yourself, husband, you don't know how many men she slept with may make her feel powerful from the standpoint that she can control the situation, but to me, it makes her seem more common. Story 143. Does it matter? She is with you now. Do not ruin the relationship over the past, which you cannot change. Story 144. I feel like if you had known she had slept with that many people, you would have had second thoughts about marrying her. I also feel like she knew this. Why else would she say that to hurt you? The detail about you meeting these guys makes it a bit worse. She withheld this information from you because she knew it would not go over well. To me, that shows intent. How you never had a conversation about any of this before marriage is also surprising. Whether this is all true or not, you are probably less trusting of her now. Story 145. I have no idea how many people I have slept with. I also have no idea how many people my wife has slept with. But why would that bother me? What matters is the person she is now. Story 146. I do not know how many women I have slept with and probably could not accurately count the men either. I would not think much of it. Story 147. Now that you are married, you can feel whatever you want, but if it does not help you or your marriage, maybe move on. That is what I do, depending on the severity of the issue and why it causes me to feel certain emotions. If it is because I am insecure about something, I get over it. If it is because the person violated a boundary, then I talk about it. Story 148. Honey, I really disagree with your color choice for these curtains. I do not know how many men I have slept with. You should have responded, neither do I. Story 149. On one hand, I did not care who you were in the past. I care who you are now and who you will become. On the other hand, I think it says a lot about who she is now if she is trying to use her past to hurt you. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.